Hello, this is Randall with the Philippines Project, and I'm just coming to you again here from Iloilo City, and just had a little story to tell you about something that happened last week, and absolutely one of the best days that I've ever had in the Philippines. Um, I had woken up that morning, and I think it was probably Wednesday last week. Of course, it was Wednesday last week. It's the day that I actually did the video about the condo, that I did the tour of the condo. So previously, I think it was Thursday or Friday of the previous week, before Wednesday last week, I'd met the guy that was that was staying in the condo where I did the video, right? And I didn't tell you how I met him. My wife and I had decided to go in Iloilo for some reason. I can't remember why, but we ended up at SM, which is a big mall here in Iloilo. Big, nice mall, beautiful place. If you just whatever, if it's hot or whatever, to get away from the heat, go to SM. It's a huge mall. It will literally wear you out. It's so big. Got so many things to offer in there. And anyway, so we're going through, and we go through every place you go here in the Philippines has got a guard, and you got a metal detector. Whether it actually works or not, I don't know. But we walk through, and we're walking up the steps on up to the second floor on the mall. This is short, about 10 or 12 steps. And this guy, he he said, "Hey," he's a foreign looking, American looking guy, Western looking guy. He said, "Hey, you're the guy with the Philippines Project." Like, wow, really? He actually recognized me. And like, okay. Um, and that doesn't happen. It's happened to me a couple of times, and not that many times. People here in Pavia, they know I have a YouTube channel, but other than that, not really widely recognized. This is not the iconic face, iconic, easily recognizable face. So, kind of a new experience for me. It was kind of cool. But he seemed really eager to talk to me, and he was very almost apologetic. He said, "I don't want to take up a lot of your time. I know you guys, you get a lot of requests," and all. He was very nice, and he didn't really assert himself into the situation. He just nice as he could be, and we stood there on the steps for about probably 15 minutes talking about a variety of stuff. I'd learned that he had retired, I think in his mid 50s. I could be wrong about that. He'd quit his job in his mid 50s, bought a camper, and was living out of the camper for quite a while in the U.S. And he always wanted to go to the Philippines. I think he traveled around different places. Kind of an unusual and a great story. I love stories like that. So I immediately hit it off with this guy, and I said, "Well, let's get together again." And I got his cell phone number, and we got on Facebook and Messenger and all that stuff, and we set it for Wednesday next week. So backwards to Wednesday morning of last week, it was the day that I was going to go, and I'd asked him to tour, if I could do a video of his condo. So it was the Wednesday morning. I was getting up, had to be there by noon. Um, so I was I don't know, kind of felt a little nervous for some reason. I don't know why. Uh, but anyway, I did. I felt a little bit apprehensive, to be quite honest about it. But I'm telling you a story about one of the best days I've ever spent in the Philippines. So, I had a little bit of apprehension to even go. I just had a feeling that for some reason, but I know myself well enough to realize that that's just me. I have those feelings sometimes. And here's why I know. Usually, when there's a resistance, like within my spirit or whatever you want to call it, uh, once I go ahead and do it, I'm so glad that I did. So this is one of those times. Nevertheless, I still had that feeling. So we got ready, and we went downstairs, and I got on the bike and got my wife on there, and we take off, and it never fails. As soon as I get on the bike, get up on the concrete, I'm flowing down through the little side, one of the side streets there before you get onto the main drag there in Pavia. I just start seeing the scenes of the Philippines, and it just never ceases to amaze me how good that makes me feel. I could be feeling any which way, but if I just get out and start seeing the sights, hearing the sounds, um, observing the Filipino people and their everyday activities, for some reason it just makes me feel good. So we go on and we go through town, and of course, we get all the way into Iloilo City. It takes about 15, 20 minutes, something like that. We'd allow ourselves about 20, but I knew I didn't know exactly where this place was, right? I knew, you go down and you're going to turn right towards Mandurriao, which is real close there in Iloilo, close to Iloilo City. So I'm looking around. My wife's in the back, and if you're married or you've been married before and you both are trying to find the same place, sometimes you get in a little bit of an argument. I don't think we really did, but it wasn't exactly the most peaceful time on the motorcycle because it's kind of how would you say, there's a lot to look at. There's a lot, you got to be considering. There's cars pulling out. There's cars, jeepneys pulling off the side of the road. There's motorcycles whipping by. There's big trucks pulling way out. So you got a lot to think about. And we're trying to find a place on top of this, but really it didn't take us that long. I think I made one trip around the block. We stopped and asked directions once or twice, and anyway, we found a place, and it's this big, tall condo building, and there's three towers. And of course, I went up and I met with him, and he said, "Here's my condo," and he did us a little tour, and that was nice. And you gotta think about something. I mean, what if somebody's coming into your house and they're gonna take a video camera and go through your house? Hey, you got to get the place cleaned up, right? You got to get it organized. You don't want just it's going to be on freaking YouTube. So, I really appreciate him even giving me the opportunity to do that because I'm not sure. It'd take me a little time. Say, okay, you can come through, but give me a week, or whatever. Everybody's got to be ready. So I really appreciate him letting me do that. And I know you guys do too. I got a lot of great comments on that video. So we're there, and finally him and my wife, they stepped out in the hallway so I could do a little video. And then he takes me on a tour, and that's where we see the gym and we see the nice pools and the other two towers and just all the nice accommodations that are there. And the whole time, it's like him and I and my wife have been old friends, and that's a nice feeling. One thing you'll notice when you're here, unless you just live around a lot of expats, there's not a lot of people to speak that are natural English speakers here. Yeah, a lot of them can speak English, but in my neighborhood, there's one guy down the road, two doors down, that he's a professor and he can speak really well and understand really well. But the time I got to spend with this guy, it's just easy, so it's enjoyable. And so after we got done with the tour, we decided we were going to go to lunch. So we went down the elevator and we walked right across the street, so close to the Mega World Mall. We walk in there, just a short distance, and we go up. And he had recommended this little food court that he goes to often. But he said the food's pretty good, pretty cheap, so let's go there. And that's all I wanted to do. I was hungry, ready for lunch. It was probably almost 1 o'clock by that time. So we ate lunch, and we just sat there probably for an hour and 20, hour and a half, and just getting to know each other and telling stories about what we'd done and where we'd been and what's going on in our life, why we love the Philippines. And it really struck me with this guy. He'd been different places in the Philippines, but he was just a little bit overwhelmed at how nice Iloilo was and how nice Iloilo would be for a person wanting to retire, all of the things that it has to offer. right? So, I was struck by that. And Iloilo is a very forward facing country or city. Uh, you can be in a metropolitan city situation. They've got some high end restaurants. They're really known for their high end food. Uh, a lot of good places. And you can get regular Filipino food. You can get high end Filipino food. You can get out of the calendarias. There's a lot of variety. But you can find Vietnamese food. You can find Western barbecue here. Not a lot of it, but you can find it here. You can find a good hamburger. I've got a video on that. But Iloilo itself, and I've been a lot of different places. I'm not saying that they're better than anywhere else because go where you're happy. If you're happy where you're at, that's exactly where you should be. But I'm happy here. That's why I'm here. And it does have a lot to offer. And I was really impressed. And he's going to go on to uh, Davao City. He's going to check that out. And he likes to do a lot of. He likes to do mountain biking. He likes to, he's 50 something years old. He's in good shape, and I really admire that. And we just had a fantastic time. And so I'd mentioned that I was going to go to S&R membership club after lunch. And he said, well, maybe sometime I'll go with you. I said, we're actually going to go here right after we leave. He said, oh, really? So he joined us and we went to the S&R membership club where you can buy like American style products. It's like a Sam's Club, like a Costco, sort of. And they have a lot of good items there. If you're kind of homesick for something that you had back in the States or somewhere, wherever you live, chances are you're going to find something like it at S&R membership club. So we went there and we probably spent another 45 minutes there. He was happy to see some things that he hadn't found previously here in Iloilo City. So, that was another good experience. We went through the checkout and yeah, he got some steaks, he got some olive oil, we got found some really good cheese there. I got 2 blocks, he got a couple, um, and just a variety of things that you're just not going to see out in the regular rank and file type stores here in Iloilo City. So, you know, we went our separate ways. I said it's great to meet you, and likewise, and all that. And we got on our bike, and me and my wife Flora, we headed back to Pavia. Got back home. It was earlyish afternoon, 3:30, 4 o'clock, and I got a shower. I think I laid down, took a nap for about an hour. Got up feeling good, feeling refreshed, and again, just really being thankful for the day that I'd had so far. And so I thought I'm gonna go get me some. I'm gonna go get some chicken. I'm gonna go get some roasted chicken at Andox. And Andox is a place. A lot of them all over the Philippines. They roast chicken most most almost 24 hours. Probably some places they do. Excuse me. Anyway, so I was going to go to Andox, and so I hopped on the motorcycle and backed it out, and it was dark by this time. And in the Philippines, at least in my locality here, if you get out on the bike between 4:30 and 7:30, you're going to encounter some traffic. So that's exactly. I got what I expected, and I got out there, and Docks is not very far away. I could have walked, and sometimes I do, but it was just nice to be back out on the bike again. I rested from my nap and looking forward to having a nice meal that evening. Just typical stuff, just doing what I enjoy doing. That's why I love it here. I do what I want to do when I want to do it, how I want to do it, and it's less expensive to live here. And so I'm going down through the street, and I have to be a little extra careful because there's a lot of traffic and people stopping in front of you, and they're probably waiting for somebody else. And you'll see motorcycles come by. You'll see people on bicycle with a sidecar. We call it a C-cod here, pedicab, some people call it. Then there's the tricycles, the motorcycles with the sidecar, and just people walking across the street. Then there's the ever popular native dogs running back and forth, and kids and adults. And one thing about the Philippines, if a car's coming, going to turn kind of in front of you, and you think they're going to wait for you, usually that means they're going to pull out. And they probably think the same thing about me. But so anyway, I'm going down through the traffic and kind of congested. But it's funny when you're on a motorcycle here in the Philippines and you get kind of used to it, you get comfortable. And not to say that your senses, you don't go to sleep out here because you don't your senses aren't dull, but there's a sense of you kind of understand the flow. You get in a kind of a flow state on that motorcycle. You see things in your peripheral that you may not have seen before or may not pay attention. But here, because you have to have that heightened sense of awareness, you are aware of these everything that you can see, right? And there's a car in front of me had to slow down. I'm coming pretty close to NDOCs. They're on my left hand side. And I know I got to get over there. I know I'm in traffic. And I'm like, how am I going to work this one out? Because they're just coming and the people are stopping in front of me. And I went by the grocery store, and just about next is NDOC. So I slow down, and all of a sudden the people take off in front of me. And what do you know? I'm in front of NDOC's, and the street is just clear right from me. And I just whip it, or I do a 180, bump. I go up on the sidewalk. I get off, take my helmet off, put it in my top box. It's dark, and I walk up there and I stand in line. And to your average person, you think, what's the big deal with that? Well, it may not even be a big deal to you. But as I stood there, guy ahead of me, he had a motorcycle helmet on, young Filipino guy, and he had one of these like motorcycle racing type shirts on that a lot of them wear here. There was an older gentleman in front of him, and there was probably a 20-foot line to the counter to get your chicken or whatever you're going to get. In front of that, the old guy, his wife was sitting over on the side in a little sea cod. She's just sitting there waiting, little bitty lady. I'm just taking in the sights. If you don't observe the world around you, and sometimes you're just going to miss it. And so I'm just trying to take it in. I look to my right, and there's a lady that's got some street food going there. I don't know exactly what she had. She had some empanadas and some other stuff. I checked out later. There's a guy selling balut, the duck egg. Down there's a 7-Eleven over there to the right. It's dark. It's kind of humid, but it's kind of cool. It's very pleasant. But it just kind of felt like just a little bit of a warm blanket feel to it. But I really wasn't sweating. It was just comfortable. There's a young woman ahead of us. She looked like a professional young woman, probably in her mid 20s and early 30s. She was dressed really nice, had really nice professional type clothes on. Hair was great. She just had her little purse, and she just waiting in line at Andox, probably going to go home to her family. And after her busy day, she didn't feel like cooking, so she picked that up. I'm just looking at all this stuff. And then I realized, I guess, kind of looked at myself, so to speak. Here I am, an American guy, 61 years old, standing in line at Andox in this little unknown town in the Philippines. And I realized I'm totally comfortable. I'm totally comfortable. Not only just comfortable, a feeling kind of washed over me that I had a sense, I just felt a sense of belonging. I belonged here. And that was really a nice realization for me. Not only did I belong, I felt that sense of belonging, but I felt a sense of satisfaction or gratitude, for the Philippines and the Filipino people, because they're such a welcoming people that they're probably the main reason why that I felt that I belong here. And it was just nice. So with that sense, I just calmly waited in line, and I went up there and took my turn and got my chicken, and big deal, right? But that overwhelming feeling, that sense of belonging, coupled with the friendliness and the positive attitude of the Filipino people. I went home. I took my stuff upstairs, put my motorcycle up, and my wife had come down from the roof. She'd been up on the garden, up in the rooftop garden. She loves it up there. We were settling down for our evening, and I'd bought a few things and brought them home. And I told her, I said, honey, I said, I feel like we've just had the perfect day. And she said, yeah, I know. It's just amazing sometimes. Everybody talks about these days in America, they do. Are you living your best life? Or he's just living his best life? Or I'm not really living my best life. I guess, to put it in modern terminology, I just really felt like I am and I was that day living my best life. And it happens to be here in the Philippines. And I was just so grateful. And, I live in a state of constant gratitude, not all the time, but even if I get a little bit grouchy or things don't exactly run my way, and things like that happen all the time, I still have to go back to the fact that I'm amazed that I'm here. I'm amazed with life, and I've been that way for the last 20 years. And I wasn't always here in the Philippines. That didn't just magically change everything, but you know, I really appreciate the fact that I'm able to stay here. And I'm going to quit rambling on, but it was really like the perfect day for me and my wife. And I just wanted to share that. If you like that type of content, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down in the bottom right corner of your screen. It'll take you to my channel, and look in there, you can find a way to subscribe, okay? I appreciate everyone, all the subscribers. I probably gained more subscribers in the last 2 weeks than I have all year. But and I appreciate all of you. So this is Randall with the Philippines Project. I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for watching.